Greetings! Coming up on the McVews.
After the terms of Brexit are clear, but while there is still an opportunity to change course, the people of Scotland will have a choice. There will be an independence referendum.
It's on, motherfucker. Indie Ref 2 is go. We'll speak to some of the worst informed people in Scotland. Hello and welcome to an extended edition of the McVews. The First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is ready to call a new independence referendum after being totally dinghied by mayhem in Westminster. The announcement caught everyone off guard, and since it takes almost a full week to defrost Gordon Brown, the BBC had to turn on its emergency broadcast system. This horseshit continued throughout the pay-to-watch and read media for a full week. So in order to balance out the bias, I'll be talking and interrupting over the main opponents of independence for Scotland. And we'll go first to the Secretary of Talking Down Scotland, David Mundell, who joins us from Kitchen in Dumfries. Mr Mundell, how much did it cost to create this graphic showing everyone that the rest of the UK can't keep the lights on without Scotland? Mr Mundell? Mr Mundell? Dave! Obviously just banging away at the drum Theresa gave him. Same tune you hear for Ruth Davison as well. Okay, never mind. Let's see if we can get any sense out of Adam Tomkins. Doubtful, but we can try. Mr Tomkins, we have the right to have another referendum, don't we? I mean, the SNP won the 2016 election with a manifesto commitment to hold a new vote if we were dragged out of the EU against the will of the people of Scotland.
You say they won that election in 2016, they lost their majority. In 2011, Alex Salmond's SNP won an overall majority of seats.
That sound means it's time for a political spin.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
Okay, so now Nicola Sturgeon doesn't have an overall majority in Scotland, the one-party state. Okay, three problems with what you're saying here. Hush! First up, you tweeted you were elected on a manifesto commitment to oppose a second independence referendum, yet you're a list MSP who came third in the constituency election, and your party came a distant second with less than half the vote share that the SNP got. So they've got more of a mandate than you. Secondly, by your logic, the Tory-led government of 2010 to 2015 had no right to raise VAT, national insurance contributions, tuition fees, sell off the NHS, introduce the bedroom tax, or any of the shit that they did that killed tens of thousands of sick and disabled people. Shouldn't have been allowed because no overall Tory majority, and none of it was in their manifestos. And third, since the Holyrood voting system is specifically designed to prevent majority governments, then no party who doesn't blitz it can ever carry forward their manifesto, so they might as well promise you the fucking moon. But as for justification, surely you agree that Scotland has been ignored with regards to the Brexit negotiations. I mean, the paper, Scotland's Place in Europe, has been dismissed by Theresa May.
I mean, what's happened is that the Scottish Government published a pretty complex paper in December in which it set out a variety of views about how the Scottish Government thought Brexit should unfold going forward. And what's happened to that paper is it's been discussed by the Prime Minister, it's been discussed by the Cabinet, it's been discussed by the Joint Ministerial Committee.
Brexit means Brexit.
The idea that Brexit is something which is being taken forward by the UK Government without involving the devolved administrations, not only in Scotland but also in Wales and Northern Ireland, is simply untrue.
I can smell shite. Alright, I can definitely smell shite. And you know why I can smell shite? Because do you remember what you said in Scotland Tonight last Monday? Allow me to refresh your memory. Let's have a look, shall we?
I mean, no, it wasn't a compromise that was even remotely deliverable. I mean, look, the SNP's big ask in their so-called compromise paper was that Scotland should somehow be in the EEA, in the European Economic Area, and the rest of the United Kingdom would not. And this would somehow happen without there being any change in the nature of the border between England and Scotland, any change in the nature of the trade or the free movement of people that exists between England and Scotland. And it's simply undeliverable. Okay. It was always designed to be undeliverable so that Nicola Sturgeon could reach this moment.
See, I believe that. But try Please try and truthfully answer this question. Do you agree that Theresa May cares deeply about the people of Scotland and will seek to protect her best interests?
No, I don't think it's remotely true, actually.
Adam Tomkins, get in the sea. Okay, we now go live to Dan Snow, who will be once again fronting the Please Don't Go campaign. Hi, Dan. Whoa, you've piled on the beef since we last seen you.
You're f***ing scum. You're the scum of the earth.
Whoa, easy, Tiger. I'm sorry, I didn't realise you'd be so touchy about your weight. Whoa, geez, guys, did we get Dan Snow a member of the Question Time audience?
Go f*** yourself. Okay, how's that?
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Scottish.
Yeah, no, never mind, mate, never mind. My love to Nigel. Okay, now waiting in our cupboard in Edinburgh is Kezia Dugdale. Quite a lot of people are pissed off with Westminster's broken promises to Scotland, so why shouldn't we rerun the vote?
I understand there are some people now who are angry at the Tories, angry at Brexit, and think that that's why there's a justification for having another independent referendum. But what I would ask people to focus on is the sheer harsh economic reality of the case for independence, because there's no doubt that the case for independence, the economic case, is weaker now than it was 2.5 years ago.
I understand you like people to have a narrow-minded attitude towards independence and focus purely on the economic case.
That hasn't changed. If anything, it's got worse. You only need to look at the oil price for evidence of that.
Ah, there we go. That's time for us.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
Let's look at the oil price, shall we? Last year's oil price was $28 a barrel, and the OBR predicted that we'd gain just $130 million in revenue for that. But in reality, it's $900 million. Quite a lot of money. You always demand that ScotGov apologise for getting it wrong, but never have a pop at Westminster, who regularly get the forecasts wrong and who is responsible for not helping protect the some 100,000 jobs that have been lost so far. The oil price this year is now over $50 a barrel, and most industry experts predict that it will continue to rise. But the reality is, no one can accurately predict the oil price, which is why ScotGov have always said that what we get from the North Sea should be treated as a bonus. But here's the real rub that should have folks scratching their noggins. The price at the pumps has consistently been around £1 per litre. Right now it's probably about $1.15, $1.20. Every time you hand over £10 at the forecourts, you only get £3 worth of fuel. You give £7 to Westminster. And the latest rise in pump prices isn't due to the oil price rising again, it's because of the collapse of the pound due to Brexit. Anyway, let's move on. Can you tell me how many members Scottish Labour has? The reason I ask is because no one seems to know. Last month it was 21,000, last October it was 29,000, Jim Murphy said at the end of 2014 it was 20,000, then a year later it was said to be up 4,000 to 19,000, that's up, not down. Yet your public accounts suggest you have no more than 5,000. My point is this, if you can't give people a definitive answer on something as simple as your membership, why should we trust a word you say on something as complex as Scotland's £200 billion economy?
The reality is that the gap between what Scotland raises in its taxes and spends in its public services would mean a deficit of £15 billion.
Here we go again. Now that's bollocks and you know it. You're basing your sums on a government expenditure and revenue Scotland, or GERS as we've come to know it, and that is based on guesstimates. Guesstimates provided in the majority by Westminster. And as we've just discussed, they haven't been great at getting their guesstimates right. Even oil revenues, which are calculated here in Scotland and used in GERS, are estimates. Now that's not me saying that, that's Richard Murphy, one of the world's leading tax economists. And as he said this week, this is some very approximate data that Scotland does not control, being used for a purpose for which it is not fit. What do you think of that?
I thought he'd been quite clumsy with his language.
Clumsy? Yes, yeah, he was pretty matter of fact about it. I mean, he went on to say, those protesting do so without justification. The only reason you reckon it's clumsy is that it's devastating to your case that Scotland cannot be an economically successful independent country. Now, I have to move along, so away back to your cupboard. I hope you're all still awake after that. I mean, a lot of people will have switched off by now and carried on scrolling through their newsfeed. Because one thing I know for sure is that a lot of people are just fed up with the debate. I've listened to a lot of conversations out of this past couple of weeks, I mean, unionist types are repeating the buzzwords and sound bites of divisive, not the time, get on with the day job, and I even heard that no means no. And there are a lot of people out there that just don't care. Half the country might say they would vote for independence, but they're also saying they don't want to hear about it. And I understand why they don't. The unionists made the debate so bloody complicated that it hurts the brain. They don't want people to care. So let's try and simplify it. This is about choice. Right now, with talk of division and anger, the Westminster Defence League are trying to tell us that we don't want the choice and that there's no need for us to make the choice. They've even taken to calling the Scottish Government liars because they know the media won't say, "Oi, Pot, you're a bit kettle black, you know," and point out the lies that the No campaign told. They won't mention the promises broken. From the very next morning after September 18th, Westminster started breaking its word to the people of Scotland, and we deserve to have the debate, and we certainly deserve to have the choice. The BBC can barely mention the fact that right now over 20 police forces in England are investigating election fraud committed by the Tories. Right now, we've got a government at Westminster that Scotland did not choose, and we've got it because they lied, cheated and broke the law. And they chose to do that. If we choose to have another referendum, the next thing Westminster will do is to convince us that independence is a mistake, especially over the economy. They'll tell us we can't afford to be independent and they'll use GERS as their evidence. But GERS is guesswork based on the presumption that Scotland would spend money exactly the same way Westminster does. And once again, it comes down to choice. If you were running the UK, would you spend 200 billion renewing Trident? Would you spend 369 million doing up Buckingham Palace? Would you continue ploughing tens of billions into a repeatedly failing bank, or would you force it to split up, dumping the loss-making investment side and keeping its profit-making retail side? Would you choose to be a member of the EU? And that's as simple as it gets with independence. It's about a right to choose. The answers to each of the questions we've just asked, we will face it, but no matter what we decide, it will be our choice. And not one made for us by someone that no one elected. Anyhow, that's enough for me. So a quick look at the weather according to Westminster. Oh, this hot weather is such a burden, and I'm not risking skin cancer when the SNP has ruined the NHS. I mean, beach, sod that, you'll never get parked in the sand that gets everywhere. And SHARK! We didn't have time for Willie Rennie, but then again, who does? So, until next time, let's get out there and raise the debate! Right, that's how we go to the pub.